Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 46. The world is going to shit, but that's okay. Join me for today's episode, regardless how negative and skeptical it sounds. I think you'll find something of value from it. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about how I really need your help. I have a project that I'm super excited about. But in order for it to work out the way I would love it to, I totally need your help. So stay tuned. I will give you details about that in the episode. Really excited to talk to you today. But before we get there, have you joined the Ordinary to Badass Facebook group yet? The group is so much fun, and we have badass women in there. And then on Wednesday nights, we have badass guests that come in and tell us how they did something badass. It's so freaking exciting. I know that you will love it, and we want to grow this community. So if you're not a part of it, go to Facebook and jump into the Ordinary to Badass group. And if you are a part of it, and you know a badass woman who's not, a woman who's trying to improve herself and grow and learn and wants supportive women next to her, have her join. Let her know about the Ordinary to Badass Facebook group. With that, let's get to the episode. The world is going to shit, but that's okay. I had this sense that all was wrong in the world. Coronavirus, racism, social injustice. I was feeling anxious and upset. I took on the global problems as if they were all my own. This felt like a lot of weight on my shoulders. I had a life coach who was like, okay, let's bring this down to you. Take it away from the global problem and bring it down to how it's affecting you specifically. What's happening to you directly? I was thinking, well, what's happening to the world is happening to me. But is it really? I don't know. I'll tell you, at one point I felt like it. Why do we do that? Why do we take on the world's problems or generalized problems and make it as if it's an attack on us? Do you do that too? Okay, back to the conversation with the life coach. I was talking to her and I told her that I kept thinking the world is going to shit. Like about every situation. The world is going to shit. That was just my answer. I know, pretty positive, right? But yeah, that was my thought. The world is going to shit. And she said, well, maybe you could say the world's going to shit and that's okay. Sometimes we just have to rephrase things in our head to make us feel better about it. The world going to shit would have to be okay, right? Because it's what we're going through, or it's how I was feeling in the moment. So it wouldn't change anything. So I thought that was interesting. The world is going to shit, but that's okay. How can you use that in your life? How can you change something that's like negative in your head that you're saying to yourself over and over and over? How can you switch it to be like, but that's okay? Because it's going to have to be okay, right? Or if you can make a change, by all means, do that. So during that time, I was also reading a book. I kept reading it slowly amongst several other books called, or it was Byron Katie is the author, and it's called Loving What Is. I believe I may have talked about this book before. Now, as I mentioned, when I first got this book, I got it and read it because everybody kept telling me about how amazing this book was. And I was skeptical. I was like, why does everybody like this so much? I don't know. I don't get it. And I was like, it makes sense in theory, but when you put it into practice, it does not. It doesn't. So it was really frustrating me. But I stuck with it. And maybe it was just because I wanted to stop feeling so anxious, or start being more positive. So I stuck with reading the book, and it was really helpful. Well, okay, the first 50 to 100 pages I hated. You know, when someone raves about a book and you read it and you're like, what the heck? This isn't great. Why did they say it was good? I felt that way. But I kept reading it slowly amongst like 3 other books because that's what I do. It's obnoxious, but I do it. I get like ADD when I'm reading, and I never used to do that, but probably the past 3 to 5 years, that's what I do. I bounce around between books, but I digress. So, as I said, I kept slowly reading this book amongst several other books. On vacation, I really buckled down and read it. I loved it. It held my anxiety and kind of put things into perspective for me. Sometimes I also think that things get on your nerves when they hit too close to home. So if it's going to point out a flaw that I have in myself, why do I want to read it? Right? Because then that makes you have to deal with your own flaws or your own thoughts and feelings. So you start reading that book by chance and you feel resistance. I get it. I was there. Maybe give it a chance to land if you can stay that long. There's been many times in my past where I'll pick up a book and then I won't even finish it because I'll just get so bored or frustrated or whatever with it. But stay to the end, see what you think. One of the questions that Byron Katie tells you to ask about your thoughts is it true? Is the thought you're thinking true? So, remember how I was thinking the world is going to shit? So I'd have to ask myself, is it true? Is the world going to shit? So, of course, at that time, I'm like, yeah, it is. Do you absolutely know that it's true? Well, no, I can't really know that for sure. It may feel like it, but there are other possibilities. Another question she says to ask is, how do you feel when you think that thought? Well, when I think the world is going to shit, quite frankly, I feel like shit, right? I kept feeling horrible and thinking about all of the bad things that were going on in my life and in the world, or in my backyard, so to speak, like just around me. And it made me feel pretty darn terrible. I felt anxious and out of control. So that's something to think about for yourself. What problems are you globalizing? Is there a problem in the world, or a problem that's going on in the world, that you are making personal? I'm not saying that's wrong. After all, I was doing it. But what's going on in the world to you personally? Like, what's affecting you personally? Maybe deal with that. Now, the last question that the book asks, or tells you to ask yourself, because it's a series of 4 questions, is there a pain-free reason to get rid of that thought? And she's not telling you to get rid of the thought, just to ask yourself if there's a pain-free reason to get rid of that thought. For me, the reason to get rid of the thought was it would give me less anxiety. I was tired of feeling anxious and taking on the world's problems. After all, that's a heavy weight to put on your shoulders. You can't affect the world, right? But you can affect some of what's going on in your life. Not at all. Like, I couldn't affect the world, but I could affect what's going on in my reality or how I choose to think about it. If I would just make it what's going on around me as opposed to everywhere else, the things that were out of my control. Although there's a certain extent where everything's out of your control, right? There's certain things you just can't have control of. It's only how you react. I get that. Based on the question, is there a pain-free reason to get out of the thought or to get rid of that thought? I started saying to myself, who says what's going on in the world is bad? Who says that we don't need a change? Maybe this is the very thing that is going to bring changes forward. Maybe we are exactly where we need to be. Possibly, all of this is going to lead to something amazing. Those are calming thoughts, yeah? Maybe I or you should be thinking those thoughts. Or every time you think the thought like the world has gone to shit, you follow it up with positive thoughts or questions like I just mentioned. And I'll repeat them. Who says the world is bad? Who says we don't need a change? Maybe this is the very thing that is going to bring changes forward. Maybe we're exactly where we need to be. Maybe all of this is going to lead to something amazing. Now, I'm talking about in the current time of this podcast, we have coronavirus and there's such vast opinions about it, right? So there is coronavirus. Some people think that you're going to get sick. Some people think that the whole thing is baloney, that this is the same as ordinary flu rates. Some people think you should wear masks or that everyone should wear masks. Some people think that nobody should wear masks. Also, you have racism, social injustice, protests going on. There's been a lot going on in 2020. There's a lot to deal with, a lot to process. There's also social injustice, like the thing that they're saying, are all arrests that are being made by the police valid? So there's a lot going on. And this can lead to some self-reflection, right? Now, friend, I know that life isn't all gumdrops and lollipops. I told you about some of these positive thoughts that you can think. Like instead of the whole world's going to shit, like other options. And I've only thought of these because of myself, right? But who wants to feel anxious and upset all the time? I don't. So that's where the alternative thoughts come into play. I'm certainly not suggesting that you have a Pollyanna view on everything. I don't. All I want is for you to have a little bit more peace in your own life. To not feel so much anger, hate, anxiety. If you're anything like me, you hate feeling that way. So if you haven't tried the work, which Byron Katie calls her questions for any problems that you might have or any resistance you might come up against or anger, sadness, hate, any of those emotions, then you would try asking yourself those 4 questions that we talked about earlier. But why not try it? If it doesn't help you, then at least you tried. It may not solve all your problems, but it might solve some. So I enjoyed the book and would likely read it again. I feel like I've only scratched the surface of it and have much more to do. But if you can read something and it could change your perspective, why wouldn't you? That's interesting. The longer you're on this planet, the harder it is to change your perspective. Have you ever had a book do that for you? Now, let's get to this great idea that I had. I would love to hear what you think about it. So, I was on a mastermind phone call. Do you know what a mastermind is? Well, it's a group of people that get together for a specific reason. Some people get together for business related stuff so they can bounce ideas about business off each other. Some people get together for like self-improvement, personal improvement, trying to accomplish your goals. It certainly helps to have people to bounce ideas off of or to discuss things that are going on and how you can get through it, right? So, anyways, I was in on this mastermind call, and the leader who puts it on, Jeff Goins, made a comment. It's hard to argue with someone's experience. It's hard to argue with someone's experience. And that made me think. It led me to writing a newsletter and creating this episode to ask you for your help and to get your feedback. So I wrote this newsletter to my audience. I think it sums up pretty well what I would like to do. So I will read it to you now. But just a quick plug, if you're not on my newsletter, you should be. So go to ordinarytobadass.com and enter your email and sign up today. Or you can even go to these show notes for this episode, and there's a section where you can enter your email and sign up. If you like what I'm about to say, you're gonna love this, or you're gonna love my newsletters. Okay, I'll get back to it. I'll get back to telling you what the newsletter said. Hey you, how are you holding up? 2020 has been a crazy ride, right? There has been so much explosiveness. Events and opinions that are running rampant are right there in front of your face. You talk about it at work, at home, you hear about it on the news, and then again on social media, and even on podcasts like this from time to time. How do you catch a break from the intensity of what's going on in the world? Not to mention how you can learn from it. How do you share your voice and experiences without offending someone? You know what's rarely offensive? Your experiences. I want to know what your experience has been in the past few months with coronavirus, wearing masks or not wearing masks, racism, or social injustice. What's been going on with you? How have you dealt with it? I would love to hear about your experiences. I was also considering doing a blog post, amplifying your voices from whatever corner of the world that you're in. I want to know what people are going through and how they're handling it. I also want you to hear from others and what they are going through. You don't know it all, and neither do I. So I think there is value when you can at least understand someone else's experiences, even if you don't agree on their stance. When you hear somebody's experience, it makes it personal. It's not just a nameless face or person. It actually lets you hear what somebody's going through and makes it more personal to you, or at least so that you can understand it a little bit better. If we could learn just a smidge of what someone else was going through, wouldn't it be interesting? Can we do a community blog post where your experience is shared? Hit reply and share your experiences. If you don't want me to share, I won't. I would still like to hear from you though. So that way I can learn from you. I would love it if your voice and your experience were heard. You are a vital part of this community. Thank you for showing up and for being willing to have these conversations with me. It's not always easy. It can feel kind of vulnerable sometimes, yeah? Vulnerability is hard, but it is so appreciated. Marie. P.S. Just hit reply and share your experiences from 2020. That was it. That was the newsletter. That's what I sent out to people that are on the Ordinary to Badass newsletter, or have entered their email. Then they get the weekly newsletter from me. But friend, your experiences are so powerful. Who can argue with your experience? How can I be mad that you experienced something? Okay, well maybe that's not completely true. I can be mad that you experienced racism, but I wouldn't be mad at you personally. I would be mad that that happened to you. That should be the point. I should hear from you and what you went through, and hopefully I could understand better where you're coming from. I don't even have to agree with you. But sometimes it changes things when you can at least see somebody else's point of view. You don't have to agree with me and what I think. But hopefully you can just respect my opinion enough or respect my experiences enough. I respect yours. I don't have to agree, but I can respect them and I want to understand. I am not so ethnocentric to think that I have all the answers or egocentric. And how I think is how you should think. Nope, not at all. My experiences are different than your experiences. So we're all going to see the world differently. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from a firefighter, from a police officer, from someone who experienced like social injustice or who felt like they were arrested for no reason, someone who experienced racism, even an elderly person, people who wear masks, people who don't wear masks. The goal here is not to state political opinions. I'm not dipping my toe into that right now. The goal is to hear about other people's experiences and to learn and to grow from them. I urge you to participate. I need your help with this, even if you are not a writer. The world needs your voice. We need to hear your experiences and what you've gone through. How will we ever learn from you if you don't speak up? If you are anything like I was, you're a wallflower or a lurker. You consume content and enjoy it, but you don't chip in to be a part of the community or to reply and let somebody know what you thought of their article or to comment on a blog post or these show notes. You probably assume that it doesn't matter. I know I used to think that, except for one thing. It does. It only has to be a paragraph, maybe, or up to 3 paragraphs. But now is your time to contribute. As part of this community, I would love to hear your stories. I want you to contribute. And if it feels scary, that's okay. Actually, that's good. Do it scared. Many things in life that we do are scary. But as badasses, it's up to us to push through, to do the scary things. So I'm talking to you. I'm looking for your response. I don't want just 1 or 2 people to share their story. I would love it to be a full community of people chipping in and telling me about what happened to them. So I urge you to participate. Even if you're not a writer, even if this has never been something that you've done, this isn't typically you. That's okay. You can do hard things. The world needs your voice. We need to hear your experiences. How will we ever learn from you if you don't speak up? Now, I want to leave you with some wise words. This is based on a video that I saw on Instagram from Kathy Heller. The link will definitely be in the show notes because I love this video so much. Kathy is Jewish and said in Jewish tradition, they say prayers in the morning. And in one of the prayers, you are told to be a rooster. Sounds funny, right? Be a rooster? I was thinking, where the heck is she going with this? Kathy went to Jerusalem and learned about the rooster and the ancient prayer. Kathy said, think about a farm. Who is the first being that gets up on a farm? That would be a rooster. The rooster wakes up when it's so dark out and he can't even see the light. She said, it looks as though it's going to be the darkest moment. The rooster crows and says, wake up everyone, because the light is about to break and the dawn is coming right now. Our job is to know it's the beginning and not the end. Wake up. The light is about to come. So stinking powerful. When the world feels like shit, or like it's going to shit and everything's going wrong, or everything's so bad and horrible and in turmoil, it's going to be okay. The light is coming our way. The future cannot stay this way forever. Watch the video in the show notes. I loved what Kathy had to say. I know I didn't do it justice, but had an amazing point nonetheless. Even if you are going through dark times right now, even if it seems like the world is going to shit, you can still get through this. We can still get through this. For how 2020 has been, 2021 has got to be amazing, right? If you're struggling like I was, if you feel like the world is going to shit, that's okay. The light is coming. How can you run toward the light? By understanding others and what they have went through. Share your experiences, friend. Somebody needs to hear what you have gone through. That's your challenge for today. Comment below or send me an email, ordinarytobadass@gmail.com, and tell me what's going on with you. Or comment in the show notes if you can't comment below. That's what I mean. Comment in the show notes, or screenshot the episodes, send it to me on Instagram, and tell me about your experience and what's going on with you. Share your experience so we can learn from you and others. This will only work if everybody shares their experience or a large group of people come forward. You don't always need to hear my voice. I don't have all the experiences in the world. Your voice is powerful. Your voice is important too. And I ask you, if not you, then who? If you say, I won't do it, this isn't for me, or I don't typically do this kind of thing, or they don't need to hear my voice, well, then who's going to step up? Who will we hear from? How will we learn? How will we grow? Friend, I would love to hear from you, hear your experiences, what you have gone through, what you're going through, how you've dealt with it all. Maybe you've dealt with something a different way and it's been helpful and it can help somebody else who's struggling with it right now. So yeah, leave a comment in the show notes, hit me up on Instagram @ordinarytobadass, or email me ordinarytobadass@gmail.com, and go ahead and put in the subject line, the world is going to shit, but that's okay. Okay, so now we're wrapping up with the episode here, but before we go, have you joined the Ordinary to Badass Facebook group by now? Hit pause, go join the group right now. Like I said, such a group of powerful, badass women. What's the power in that? Well, shoot. It's other people who are going through what you're going through, who've been there, maybe it's already happened to them, what you're going through right now, they've already been through, and they can help you get through it. Even if it's just to be next to you and be like, yeah, I hear you, or I see you, I was there. There's so much to say about being around people who support you as you're trying to accomplish your goals, as you're trying to live the life of your dreams. You can't do it alone, or it's pretty darn hard, and why would you want to? So make sure, head on over to the Ordinary to Badass Facebook group and join us today. And with that, we'll end the show, and I can't wait to talk to you next week. Bye for now. And to all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass, and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.